Hey there, happy Wednesday, and welcome to the Father-Daughter Experience. I'm Cesare.
And I'm Celia.
And we're here today to do another fun little, we're going to bring back an old friend, which is our bucket.
Our bowl.
Our bucket, our bowl, our serving tray, our gourd of intrigue.
It's true.
Basically, what we're going to do today is just a quick little episode playing a game that traditionally is done via drinking called Never Have I Ever. Some of the things that we've heard from folks is that they really enjoy the episodes where we do some 20 questions types of things. So we thought we'd do a little bit of a spin on it and do a Never Have I Ever. Once again, we are not aware of what is in the bucket. We have had a third party create these bucket of
mystery woman.
A mystery woman who has put these together for us. So we are going to take turns. We're going to each reach into one of the buckets and we will ask each other the question. We'll both respond to the question. If you're playing along at home, great. If not, you can watch us on YouTube. We're going to have a video to go along with this as well. But let's get started. Let's see what's in our gourd of truth. You go ahead and go first. Get a little rummage.
Okay. Never have I ever snuck into a movie. I never have. Well, you were a delinquent as a kid.
Wasn't a delinquent.
A little bit.
I would say, so this is interesting. I would say, like, can I half answer? I'm going to go with a half never. I would go to the movies. I would pay for one movie. And
I feel like that counts still.
And then my friends and I would, at the end of our movie, go into other movies and be there for like two or three movies.
Yeah, I've never done that.
Now I realize
2 or 3.
We were like 14. There was not a lot to do.
Sure.
So it was either you walked around the mall or you went to like the movie theater. And back in the day, they didn't count. I realized like that's what they do now. They know how many people are supposed to be in the theater. They have these computer screens, like they know which tickets are sold, and then they come in and do a head count so they can just be like, you're not
supposed to be here.
Yeah. Stupid technology. Let's go again.
Never have I ever been called a player.
Oh, this is.
Damn, your delinquent streak continues.
Your mother put this in here.
I'm also a never. Well, I haven't been called a player, but people have suggested that.
You're overly flirtatious.
Yes, but I've never been called like a player. I'm just friendly.
That's the
so never.
For me. Well, you've never been called one.
That's what I'm saying.
I have been called one.
That's embarrassing.
It is because it's untrue.
For you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bullshit. Perception for some people is reality.
This is a big piece of paper. Never have I ever worn Crocs. Big bummer. I have.
Oh, shit.
But I have never owned real Crocs. I've owned, I had those little flats that had the gibbet openings at the top. Do you remember? We bought them on our trip to Hawaii.
That's exactly what I was going to say. The reason I think we both have worn Crocs.
Technically. But we've never owned like actual.
No, not like the slip-on versions.
With the sport mode.
No, I'm the same. The reason I've worn Crocs is because we were in Hawaii, and you wanted to be able to like walk into the water, but like in some of the beaches,
not cut your feet up.
Some of the beaches we went to, like the water is pretty rocky, so
and murky.
Yeah, and I didn't have good sandals for going into the water. That's an ouch, but now it's not a big deal. Everybody wears Crocs.
That's true. They're cool now.
So it's better if you say yes, you have.
Never have I ever cut in line on purpose.
Never.
I have.
Yeah, I don't generally cut in line because I get places early.
I feel like I don't have a lot of the good examples of it. Normally it's just like sidling into line next to friends. But most recently I was in an ungodly line for Barb's on a Friday for 80s night because for some reason, this is like a couple weeks ago, it was just really busy. And I offered to buy the drinks of the people next to us about to get into Swan Dive because we were and the Barb's line wasn't moving and they weren't letting people in because they were at capacity. And I was like, how many people are in your group? And they were like 2. And I was like, I'll buy your guys' drinks if you let me and my 3 friends hop in the line next to you. And they were like, what? And I was like, just pretend we're your friends. Let me in. And they were like, really? And I was like, yep. And then we got into line. And the people behind us kind of bitched. And I was like, okay, I don't really care. We're all still going to get in quick, but I'm just going to get in a little quicker.
I think that's I think that's a good move. I mean, I'm
not just cutting in. I'm making a bargain. Yeah.
All right, let's go again. Uh-oh. Man down.
Never have I ever snuck out the window. No, I've never lived in a house where I could do that.
Yes. So you have to throw up a never.
Oh, never.
There you go, never. Again, I'm being attacked.
You're targeted.
Here. I'm being targeted.
You misbehaved a lot.
Well, the reason I know specifically. I mean, this has happened on multiple occasions. Yes, I used to sneak out. I don't know if it counts. I used to sneak out of a glass sliding door when I was in middle school.
Kind of counts.
Which wasn't technically a window, but it was actually the only door in our house where if you opened it, it didn't beep the alarm, which is really strange. Like that the sliding door that opens very quietly doesn't go beep, beep, beep.
Sure.
So there was that. And then your mother is specifically talking about me sneaking out of a house I stayed in high school so that I could go out with my friends or go out and see her. So
adorable.
Yeah, thanks.
Misbehaving.
Selling me out.
Never have I ever met someone famous. We've both met famous people.
We have. Who have you met that is famous?
Eric Clapton.
When did you meet Eric Clapton?
A guitar. He did like a guitar performance, and then he signed my music books.
Where? And why don't I remember this?
This was in Minnesota. It was at like a little like auditorium. Papa Ken took me to it. I shook his hand.
Oh, I just totally don't remember that. I mean, my most famous person. I know I've met other famous people.
I've also met other famous people.
I'm the person that will go up and tell a famous person if I admire them that I like their work.
I know your story,
and I'm not annoying.
Yeah.
My favorite one is that, and one of the nicest people I ever met was Alan Rickman. So Professor Snape, but prior to him being Professor Snape, like what I knew him as, was the Sheriff of Nottingham from Robin Hood with Kevin Costner, and also it's Hans Gruber from Die Hard, and then eventually he became Snape. But he was very, very nice. The most recent one was I met Taika Waititi at the LAX airport.
That's who I thought you were going to say.
Because he was running around with his kids, and I actually was walking up to tell him I liked his sweater. Because he was wearing a really cool kind of like shredded. It almost looked like a sheepdog that he was wearing, and I was like 3 steps towards him, and I was just like, "Holy shit, I know who that is!" And so I walked up and said, "Hey, I actually was coming over here to tell you I really like your sweater," and then my brain recognized who you were. And I was like, I like a lot of your stuff. Like,
you're like, thanks.
Before he was, again,
I don't just like your sweater.
I don't just like your sweater. I also like your work, because this was actually prior to Thor and some of the bigger stuff he had done. This was like still like some of his earlier weird stuff that your mother and I like Shark versus Eagle and What We Do in the Shadows, stuff like that.
Never have I ever eaten a non-edible item like soap.
This is interesting. I mean, I wasn't a kid that ate glue. I want to say never.
I've definitely eaten Play-Doh before.
I never ate Play-Doh.
But but out of like what does it taste like?
No,
Yeah.
I mean,
if you don't have
non-edible,
one, it's okay.
Are dog biscuits non-edible? Because technically dog biscuits are edible. Because I definitely have taken a nibble on a dog biscuit.
They're not meant to be eaten by people.
No, but you could eat it.
And you did.
I did.
Sounds like.
Not dog food, just a dog biscuit, just a nibble.
Never have I ever thought about what type of cat I would be. I have thought about that.
I've never thought about what kind of cat I would be.
Didn't take a lot of life lessons away from Cats, the musical.
Well, yeah, if you would be a magical cat or a jellicle cat.
Well, I would be a jellicle cat. I'd be the jellicle cat.
Well, there you go. You get picked. No, that is a never. However, my Patronus is a cat.
Mine's a horse.
Your mother's is a cat also.
That's adorable. Oh, soulmates.
Yup.
Never have I ever used a fake ID. I have, but it wasn't my face. But I'm cool. I talked to my parents about buying a fake. My friend just fell through on helping me getting on the group order for fakes.
The group. Yeah. So never.
I've never been in trouble for it though. Nothing ever really happened. But yes, I did.
Yeah. No. I never went anywhere that required.
I feel like you grew
IDs.
up though too. Like when you were younger, like underage. I feel like it was easier for you guys to like go places like if you wanted to. Versus like I feel like I grew up very much in a like. No, we know
You have to be 18 or you have to be 21.
Yes, and like we're IDing you and we'll take you and confiscate your IDs and we have
Well,
like
you
the books and we compare. And I also like went to like a college town.
You went to a
type of
college town
school.
and they're expecting it and they're looking for it.
Right, so
and
I'm
everything
saying
else.
I also think like there just wasn't as much of a need. Whereas like I was like, dang, I'm getting to the point where like I can't go like hang out with my friends because they all have fakes.
No, I used to just always say I would get pissed off that like I would be working and I'd come home and I'd have done like 2 or 3 jobs and be there with you and your mother and I'd be like 19 or 20 and be like, I've been a dad for like 2-3 years.
And
Can I
can't
please have a
drink.
beer?
Yeah. All right. Next one is never have I ever been embarrassed by my parents.
Never. I'm going to say never. You can think and I'll elaborate. My parents weren't ever really around most of my friends, so they couldn't really embarrass me. And my parents, my friends growing up liked my parents because they were always like, my mom would always order pizza or she would have like iced tea. She'd invite them over, but like my parents weren't really embarrassing. My parents were really busy. Like they were like gone all the time.
Here's the thing. I want to put up my hand, but like my caveat is that I feel like younger me who didn't think who didn't appreciate maybe as much when I was like angsty in like middle school and high school, there's probably stuff that like that Celia would be like, oh, that was embarrassing. But like now I don't feel.
I feel like we could have embarrassed you in the car driving your friends somewhere.
Yeah, you guys have like
Potentially.
probably made like a like joke or a comment or said like a story and where I'm like, oh my God, like why are you talking about that? But like nothing is like immediately. Obviously, nothing's so traumatizing that I'm like, I have for sure.
I bet you if we talked about some of this in the
I mean,
last
you
episode.
guys like love to like I don't know.
We'll tease each other, but
Tease me,
we'll
yeah,
tease you.
but-
But I think if we embarrassed you at any point, it probably would have been, harkening back to one of our other episodes where we talked about like kind of the physicality your mother and I have, where like we'll kiss each other, hold hands, hug.
Oh yeah.
There might have
yeah.
been some of that embarrassment, like, my parents are like, kissing in front of my friends, or like they're, like, but not like we're making out.
Yeah, you guys are gross and embarrassing. You're
yeah,
right.
There you go. So, all right, next one.
Never have ever pranked someone.
Oh.
I have, but I don't feel like any of my pranks are very interesting. I love to hide in places and scare people. Like if somebody leaves me like in their room, I'm like, dang, where can I hide? So when they come back, I can jump out and scream at them.
That's how you do it. You assess the room for.
Oh yeah. I'm always
where's the
scoping
best-
out
where's the best
opportunities.
place for me to tuck myself?
Absolutely.
I know that I've pranked
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
I know that I've done a lot of those things. I can't think of a specific story, but yeah, no fucking way. Of course, I pranked people.
Never ever been terrified of a theme park ride. I have. It's the Rip Ride Rocket at Universal Studios Orlando. It is the scariest roller coaster I've ever been on my entire fucking life. It goes upside down, but you only hit the lap bar, and that lap bar does not go down far enough. And you board it on like a moving conveyor belt, and it's like, okay, now quick, push these buttons and pick a song you want to listen to. Oh, by the way, now you're vertically up in the air with just a lap belt. I've never been. That's the most scared I've ever been.
So.
Oh, that's not true. I have another one.
Well, I was gonna say,
But
I was
that-
almost gonna throw up the never, thinking like I haven't been like that scared of rides, but then I'm actually thinking back to when you said like the lap bar and blah blah blah. I do know the ride you're talking about at Universal. I feel like that ride, it happens so fast, you almost can't recollect what is happening, because I just remember like I was trying to pick the song and the thing was already shooting up the fucking ramp, and then by the time you start going, it's just flying around and you don't know what's happening.
Well, it feels bad to not have your hands on the bar when you're like vertical going up the like lift hill, but you have to have your hands off the wheel because it only gives you like 30 seconds to pick the song
I feel like it
or
gives
the
you
genre
7.
that you want.
So the time I was scared is I'm fairly certain this was at like a Canopy Lake Park, which is just one of those small regional
I've been there.
parks. Well, I know you've been there. I'm talking to the folks that probably don't know this small little, built in 1894 carnival.
Yeah.
But Canopy Lake Park, one of the things that New England is pretty famous for all these little parks are these wooden coasters. And I have always been very tall and slim, and I have a long torso. So when a lap bar comes down on me, there is an awful lot of me still hanging out of the top of the ride. And I remember that the lap bar would click, but it would bounce up and down. Like it didn't like click and rest against your thigh. You had space. So when we would drop, I would come out of my seat and like slide up because I was so skinny that I felt like, oh shit, if I don't hold on to this bar, I'm coming out of this ride. The bar is here not to hold my legs down. It's for me to hold on to with my arms so I don't die.
Yep.
What's the other one?
The Superman ride at Six Flags Fiesta in San Antonio.
It must be similar to the one in
Probably.
Western
Well,
Mass.
so that one, it was just that I went very recently with my friends, and that ride I think is like 25 years old now. And the first time we rode it, I was like, oh, this is fun. And the second time we rode it, like my friend Megan's like lap bar didn't go like down, or like overhead thing didn't go down all the way, and mine was kind of loose. So we were like going, and I'm like pressing it down against me as though like I can fight gravity.
Right.
Like ultimately, if something goes wrong on that, I'm gonna die. Like I'm just gonna fly right out of there. But delusionally, you're like, oh my God, death grip on this. Like I'm going to be fine.
Because if there's space to move between you and the restraint, like you feel uncomfortable because you're loose, but like you also have like the clip between your legs.
Yes.
And you're
but
probably
you're like,
belted,
oh my God.
But you're coming up out of it.
It's so shaky. It's so rickety. There's so many moments where you're like, this doesn't feel
100%
good.
safe.
I feel like the wind could blow in the wrong way and I might die.
Yeah.
So that's the other one.
All right. Getting toward the bottom.
Never have I ever fallen asleep in class. All the time.
Yeah.
A whole bunch.
Yeah,
in college, in high school.
Mine was mostly college.
I thought I was narcoleptic for a while because I would just like sit down and then I would like black out and just be like unconscious.
I was just exhausted because your mother and I were going to school and I was working full time. And so I would have nights where I would work like a closing shift at my job because I worked in retail, and I would get home at midnight or later, and then we'd have to be up and like we'd have to drive 45 minutes to an hour to get to school, and we'd get to school and it would be like for an 8 o'clock class, and I'd be sitting there in a warm classroom in Minnesota listening to some teacher talk about his stuff. And your mother used to laugh at me because my notebooks, I would have like two sentences. I would have two sentences worth. They would have two sentences worth, and then I would start writing a word, and then it would literally be my hand like sliding down the page, so it would be just like this cliff.
No, mine. I have so many notebooks that are the same way.
And I would just be like,
well, and half my classes in college were like an hour and a half long lecture, and then we'd watch like a 2-hour long movie, and I'd be like, I'm fighting demons here.
Yeah.
While working like basically a 40-hour week job being a rower.
And coffee and nothing else helped.
No, my God, not at all. Never, ever used someone else's toothbrush. I have. Multiple times.
Never. I have never done it. I haven't used your mother's toothbrush.
I respect that.
Not a fan.
I've used lots of other people's.
Ew, that's gross.
Hey, sometimes I'd rather use somebody else's toothbrush than keep my mouth feeling gross, you know?
I will go to the store and buy a toothbrush.
Never have I ever shot a gun. Okay, here's the thing. Technically, never. However, I shot like those fake little like clay guns at a summer camp years ago when I went to horse girl camp. I had archery and we had like guns, but they're not like
skeet guns.
Yeah, they were like.
Were you shooting at clay pigeons? What
no,
were you shooting at?
Like cans on like a.
That sounds like you shot a gun.
I guess I shot a gun.
You probably just shot like a little. The only thing I've ever shot.
Just in my head, it's not as like legit as.
I guess it's. I mean, I can't say. I mean, I'll say never because I've never shot a real gun.
That's what I'm saying.
I've shot
a real
BB guns.
Gun.
I've shot. BB
I guess
guns,
I've shot BB guns too.
But I've never shot like a real firearm. All right, let's go again.
Never have I ever yelled at my mom or dad.
Oh.
That's rude, Mom. I have. I don't need to elaborate on that. It happens. Sometimes you get angry with your family and you got to let it out somehow.
Yeah, you get angry at me a lot.
Well,
Often.
you have often deserved me to be angry.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I can say never. I've never yelled at my parents because I've only had a few altercations. Never with my mother, only with my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't really I really wasn't yelling because I didn't lose my temper. My dad was mad, but I didn't lose my temper.
I'm not gonna do that.
No, we definitely got in we definitely were in an argument and there was a confrontation, but I didn't yell. I kind of cooler heads prevailed on my side, and it fizzled out. But I've never yelled at my parents. If I'm wrong, I'm sure my mother will correct me, but I can 100% say.
Never have I ever been awake for 24 hours or more straight. I have exactly one time, and it was when I was in middle school, and I stayed over at my friend's house, the one that lived like right near us. I won't say her name, but and I stayed over her house and we watched like shows and stuff, and then like her brother came back like in the middle of the night and like was like banging shit around and like baking things and like I remember I just like it was one of those houses. Yeah, it was one of those houses where I was like, I just don't feel like safe to sleep. So I was like, I slept over, and then I remember you came and you picked me up at like 7 a.m.
I've definitely stayed awake for longer than 24 hours, and I've
only done it once.
I've done it numerous times.
That's not true. Maybe the time I flew back from Hawaii after I went to Jurassic Park Land, I'm pretty sure I was traveling for like, I left Hawaii. I got up so early in the morning. I spent all day on that island, and then I got on another bus back to get on another plane.
Sure.
To get on another plane.
A travel day where
to
you
get on another plane, and I did not sleep on any of those planes.
All right.
Never have I ever asked Dad something after Mom already said no. This is targeted. Duh. Of course I have. You have to pit the parents against each other sometimes to get what you want.
I don't know.
And I believe that.
I don't know how often.
And I endorse it.
I feel like I don't know how often that it would ever have worked, because your mother and I generally.
It does. Sometimes.
I think if I say no and you convince your mother, was it ask your mother first and then ask your dad?
No, it was the other way around.
Ask your dad and then ask mom.
Yeah.
When I say
no.
Are
you now like with like a coffee treat and stuff like that, I feel like is where I win.
What if your mother?
If my mother says no.
Oh, I gotcha.
But Mom doesn't usually say no to me.
No, she's soft.
Never have I ever gotten a speeding ticket.
Never.
I have gotten parking tickets before.
I have also gotten moving violations.
But
I've never
been pulled over, knock on wood, for speeding. But I have been pulled over for like a taillight being out before.
I'm getting a vehement head shake at me
from our producer.
My mom. Our producer is off in the corner shaking her head violently. So apparently, I'm going to take back my never. Apparently, I have been pulled over for speeding. I don't recall.
Oh my God! Yes, you have.
When?
Thanksgiving, when we were driving through that tiny town in Minnesota, you were speeding, and we were talking about how we're cursed on driving on holidays.
No, I know
you went over that hill. Oh my God! It just came back to me.
Okay,
that's so funny.
So Meesville on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's because there's like 3 traffic signs on this like.
It goes quickly. It goes quickly from like 60 to 45 to 30, and as you crest over the hill, like, you enter a town.
And the cop like came out of nowhere and was like,
"He didn't come out of nowhere,
sir."
Okay, that's.
So you have.
That's true. All right, so there's that one. I know I've gotten a bunch of tickets for like phantom stopping or rolling through stop signs. That's what I've thought about.
Okay. Well, I almost got a point on Mom's license for parking in that wrong area.
Multiple times you have parked illegally under your mother's registration.
Well, my car's also under Mom.
That's exactly why it's your mother's problem.
Never have I ever ripped open a Christmas present early to see what was inside. I mean,
never.
If I'm exploiting a cat's little scratch, it's never resulted in anything. The only time I ever
you used to do it in a gunkwit when you were little.
Okay, well, I don't remember that. But what I was going to say is what came to memory for me isn't one where I was like opening anything, but like the way I realized Santa wasn't real was that Barbie dream house set being in your guys' closet, and then you guys went out to run an errand, and I was like, I'm gonna want to take another look at that, and then I like opened up the closet and was like, damn, that's gonna be sick when I get that, and then Santa gave it to me, and I was like, that's interesting. Santa has been here all along.
All right, we're getting down to the wire.
Never have I ever played Spin the Bottle.
Never.
I have, but I want to say that like I don't feel like we ever played it right. I feel like we played like a hybrid, like Spin the Bottle, Truth or Dare. Like you would spin the bottle, but you didn't have to kiss the person and like it landed on. You would ask them like Truth or Dare, and then depending on what like they said. So we were just making up our own rules. But I've never played proper like there's a bottle, I'm spinning it, who it lands on, I have to kiss. I've never done that.
No, when I was in middle school, I mean, we went to some of those middle school parties, but like that was never a thing. It seemed like a lot of people, for me, when you're doing when that would be appropriate, you're either doing it in college as a goof, I would assume, or you're doing it in like middle school. It seems like a really weird. It seems like a weird game, but yeah, I never played it. Sheltered childhood.
Never have I ever gone commando. Just in general, I have.
I definitely have. Like, yeah.
Good talk.
Yeah, it happens. And it's hot in Texas.
Never have I ever gotten heated during a family game night. Well, that's pointed. We all have.
I feel like that's just
That's just who we are as people.
I think we just all like to win. And there's always
You're also incredibly nitpicky about rules, but only really when it benefits you, not when it benefits other people. You'll be like, whoa, let's take a look at this. We'll be like midway through a game and you'll be like, hang on. Where are the rules in the box now that they matter? Sorry. We can't play sorry in this family anymore. Because people get very emotional. I don't want to name names.
I'll look right into the camera when I say this. Every person has the right to read the rules or invoke the rules during a game.
Not in the middle of a game. You have to establish them at the start. Then you can't be like, oh, well, now that it's convenient, actually there was this special trick I could use, and that does put me back in the lead, everybody. But I'm not going to retroactively let you guys use the rule for your own benefit, just for me on my turn right now.
If you had asked for it earlier, you get it. We've got one left. That would have probably been a good one to end on, so hopefully this one's good.
Well, we'll see.
Let's see.
Oh, never have I ever auditioned for a television show. We've all done that.
We have all done that.
You and Mom have done it multiple times.
Your mother and I have done it together.
I think I'm about to start entering my reality TV phase of entering things. I'm just going to start applying for everything.
You better hurry. You're getting old.
That's rude.
They like it seems like everybody on these shows is like
22.
24. Well, you better hurry up. That's what I said.
As long as I do it under 30, I think I'm fine. I think that's a sweet spot.
It seems like there's a dead space between like 27 and like
well, I'm not 27 30. Yet. Oh my God.
I'm saying you're getting old. I'm saying you're getting close to the end. I applied for The Original Apprentice.
Cool.
I think my earliest thing would have been either in the very early 2000s or very late 90s. MTV had their Wanna Be a VJ competition. And I went to New York for that. Got through a couple of rounds.
Cool.
And they got bumped. Your mother and I have tried out for multiple game shows and gotten super close to being picked for multiple game shows and then not, which is horseshit.
It is horseshit because y'all would crush.
Yeah.
I believe that. Casting directors, if you're listening, cast my parents. I'll set up a meeting.
And you and I have also applied for The Amazing Race together.
That's true. We're just gonna have to keep doing it until they let us on.
I don't know why they
let me in.
Let me in. You should pick us.
We'd be really good.
We're gonna fight.
If anything,
you're gonna love it.
I'm gonna yell at him all the time. I have. I will.
If you make her,
it'll happen again.
If you make her drive, there's gonna be a problem. She is
I don't know how to drive stick.
And she's a terrible driver.
That's not true.
It is.
Anyway.
All right.
Seems like the perfect place to wrap up this episode before we go fight off camera. All right. If you like this episode, leave us a review. Leave us a little 5 stars, a review, a like, a follow, a subscribe. You can find us at The Father-Daughter Experience on wherever you listen to podcasts and YouTube, where you can watch our video. Then you can find us at Father-Daughter EXP on TikTok, on Instagram, and maybe someday on Twitter. The account is there, but no posts yet. All right, guys. Love you so much. Thanks for listening.
Bye.